Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today's video is going to be the next part in my collection video, and that is the R's. I'm recording this video a bit in advance, had some free time, so I thought I'd get this recorded, but you won't see this for over a week. So I'm recording this on Tuesday the 6th, so you'll see this next Wednesday. So the S's video drops when I'm recording this tomorrow. This R is a bit better than the S is. There's not as many, but yeah, I'm just gonna crack on and get straight on with it. Starting off with a great film, Rain Man, Tom Cruise, Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman won one of his Oscars for this. I think he's won more than one Oscar, I believe. It also won Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay, and it's just a great film. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's a story of two brothers, one of which suffers from autism, and it's just about their relationship, and it's like a road trip film, and from what I remember, I really enjoyed it. So that is Rain Man. Next up we have Rambo, the only Rambo film that I have on Blu-ray. All the others had a 4K release here. I know this has a 4K release in other countries, but we never got it here. So I'm happy with the Blu-ray. I watched the Rambo films out of order. I've not actually seen this one all the way through. It was on TV one day a few years ago, and I just watched it all and I really enjoyed it. I think I watched the latest one, the fifth one, first. Then I saw most of this one, and then I've seen 1 and 2, but I've not actually seen 3 yet. But yeah, this one was a lot of fun. Very over-the-top violence, gory, what you expect from a Rambo film. Next up we have Rampage, just a fun action blockbuster with The Rock. Nothing too special, just an easy fun watch really. Then we have one of my personal favourite comedies, Rat Race, which I believe is a loose remake of It's a Mad World, or however many mads it is. Which is one that I definitely want to get in the collection. I think that's Criterion released that. This is the German release, but it's got great cast. You've got Rowan Atkinson, John Cleese, Whoopi Goldberg, Cuba Gooding Jr., Seth Green, John Lovitz, Breckin Meyer, Kathy Najimy, and Amy Smart. And yeah, I like this type of comedy. Very funny characters that get into very funny situations. And yeah, if you like. It's not a spoof film per se. It's done by the one of the Zucker brothers who did Airplane, Naked Gun, Top Secret. So it's got that sort of comedy to it, but it's not a spoof film, I wouldn't say. But it is a very funny film. Definitely one I can recommend. Next up, we have Ray, the biopic about Ray Charles, starring Jamie Foxx, who I believe won an Oscar for his portrayal of Ray Charles. And it looks as though it also won Best Picture. One of the earlier Blu-rays I had in my collection, and it's been a long time since I watched it, but I remember enjoying it for the most part. I remember it being quite slow. I mean, it's 2.5 hours, so it probably did feel like it was dragging a bit in parts, but I do remember finding it interesting. It is one that I probably should go back to and revisit at some point. But yeah, that is Ray. Next up, we have a great modern horror comedy, I suppose you would call it. Ready or Not, like the first big breakthrough film for Radio Silence, who did the last 2 Scream films, and this year they did Abigail, all of which I love. And this is no exception. This is also a very good film. It knows how to have the right balance of comedy and horror, and it just hits the nail on the head. It's just a really good, like, cat and mouse horror film. I'm not going to go into the plot because it's kind of one of those that deserves to go in knowing nothing about it. I think you'll really get a kick out of it by doing that. But yeah, that is Ready or Not. Where we go next here, I think. Next up, we have one of my personal old school films that I remember growing up with. I remember seeing this at the cinema when it came out. And I used to watch it a lot when I used to have it on DVD. I only last year before got it on Blu-ray, and I watched it and it's real still, really holds up. Obviously Sean Levy, Hugh Jackman, who's obviously both just done Deadpool and Wolverine. But this is a great film. I would really love to see a sequel to this, to just see where the characters are, what, like almost 15 years later at this point. But yeah, it's like about robots fighting each other, but it's like a family film as well, and yeah, one that I really enjoyed. That is real still. Next up, we have The Recruit. Al Pacino, Colin Farrell. Yeah, this one was okay. Again, nothing standout, nothing excellent, but I enjoyed it for what it is. It's one of those early noughties films, like espionage, spy, thriller type films, and it really tries to go for it. I don't think it quite gets it completely, but yeah, I think Al Pacino and Colin Farrell both do great jobs with what they're given. Overall, the story was somewhat interesting. It left a bit to be desired, I think, but it was okay, and it was a cheap buy, so yeah, that is The Recruit. Next up, we have Red, great action comedy from 2010. Just a great, like, with all like these great actors: Bruce Willis, John Malkovich, Morgan Freeman, Helen Mirren. Karl Urban plays the villain in this. Yeah, just a great film. Brian Cox, Richard Dreyfuss, great actors in this, and very funny, very good action comedy film. Red. Next up, we have Redeeming Love, one I got last year before, from a company that don't actually sell through eBay anymore. I think you can still get through their online website. It's called Declutter. So I think this worked out about £7, and it was newish at the time, and I thought it looked like my sort of film. It's like a western love story type of thing. Main people: Nina Dobrev, Logan Marshall Green, Eric Dane, and Famke Jensen. Yeah, it was okay. It was serviceable. It kind of did what I expected it to do. It's nothing special. It's probably one that not a lot of people even know about, but I enjoyed it for what it was. It was a decent love story. It is technically a western. It's one of those that I would say if you saw it on streaming, give it a watch, but I wouldn't like go out of your way to try and pick up this Blu-ray, because it's not that special of a film. Next up, we have Red Joan with Judi Dench. This is a really good film based on a true story about an elderly woman that's arrested and accused of being a like spy. Basically, she fed information to the KGB when she was in university. That's what they're accusing her of, and she's adamant that she never did. She never got involved with any of them. She just knew people that were communists at the time. She was like friends with them, but she never herself got involved with it. And it's kind of saying, did she, didn't she, that sort of thing. It's a really good thriller. If you like those sorts of films, yeah, and Judi Dench is great in it. Next up, we have Red Rocket, an A24 film directed by Sean Baker, who also did The Florida Project, Tangerine, and he's got a Nora coming out later this year, which I'm looking forward to. I like this one. It's not going to be for everyone. Some people probably won't like it because it's just not a lot goes on. It's more about the characters than anything else, but it's about the character here played by Simon Rex, who's just come back from LA, and he is a porn star, or has been porn star, shall I say. And he's come back to just try and settle back into a normal life. He's trying to worm his way back in to like his ex-girlfriend, who also used to be a porn star, but she's kind of using him for money, and he meets a young girl, and yeah, I won't go any further than that. It's a really interesting film. I enjoyed it. It's quite funny as well. Very good musical choices in this as well. If you like these sorts of films, not a lot goes on, but you really get to like a deep dive on these characters and just this area of America, which is, I thought, was really interesting. Yeah, that's Red Rocket. Next up, we have Red Sparrow, Jennifer Lawrence. I remember seeing this at the cinema. I think Francis Lawrence directed this. Yeah, it's like a good, like, I think it's a Cold War like spy thriller where Jennifer Lawrence basically gets recruited to be like a spy in Russia, and she kind of falls in with this bloke who's a CIA agent, and she doesn't really want to get involved in it. There's like a reason why she's in this world, which I won't go into. But yeah, if you like spy, espionage, thriller type films, then this is definitely a better one of recent years. I did remember really enjoying this, and I've gone back to it since. So yeah, that's Red Sparrow. Next up, we have Reign Over Me with Adam Sandler and Don Cheadle. Really good drama. I wouldn't say this was a comedy drama. This is pretty much a straight drama. And for me personally, one of Adam Sandler's best performances. I think he's absolutely electric in this. He plays the character that just really well. It's basically about a man who's lost his entire family pretty much in a plane crash, something to do with 9/11, I think. And he comes across Don Cheadle's character, who used to go to college or university to study dental school or whatever. And he kind of tried to cheer him up, make him feel better, and them being around each other is really good for each other. It's just a really lovely film. If you like your feel good type films, definitely recommend this one. It's a really good, powerful film. Donald Sutherland's in this as well. I remember he plays the judge towards the end. Jada Pinkett Smith, Liv Tyler. Yeah, really enjoyable film, that one. Reign Over Me. Next up we have Remember Me again. Set just before 9/11 in New York. And there's a twist, shall we say, at the end of this that I didn't see coming, but I won't say what the twist is because that'll give the whole film away. But it's a really good, it's like a romantic drama about two students who basically fall in love with each other and help each other through their pain. Sort of. Pierce Brosnan's in this, Robert Pattinson, as you can see. They play father and son. Chris Cooper's in this as well. Yeah, remember enjoying this one quite a bit. Remember Me. Next up we have Renfield from last year. Nicolas Cage, Nick Hoult and Awkwafina. This was a funny film, enjoyable film. One I enjoyed at the cinema. Just thought it was quite different in a way. I thought Nick Cage's Dracula was excellent because he wasn't playing him seriously. He was playing him the way that you would expect Nick Cage to play Dracula. And it's just a funny film, entertaining, an hour and a half. If you like monster, Universal monster type comedy films, definitely recommend this one. Then next up we have a classic, Reservoir Dogs, which I only got around to watching for the first time this year. Quentin Tarantino's first film. Excellent film, up there for me in his best films. Just a really tense, gripping thriller. Great characters, great dialogue. Yeah, if you've not seen this, definitely one of the best films out there from the 90s. Up there with like Pulp Fiction for Tarantino as well. So that is Reservoir Dogs. Next up we have a double pack of Reservation Road and Return to Paradise. This is a Joaquin Phoenix double pack. I did have Return to Paradise, the German release, I believe. But I saw this because I wanted to watch Reservation Road. It's a Mill Creek release. And believe it or not, I think it was about £4.50 on eBay. I think it was through, I don't know if it was through Rare Waves or somewhere like that. But I thought for two films that aren't available on Blu-ray in the UK, definitely going to give that one a go. And they're both really good films. I thoroughly enjoyed both of them. Both very different films. Reservation Road is like a family drama thriller about two fathers and how far they'll go to protect their families, that sort of thing. And then Return to Paradise is about young men who go on holiday to Malaysia and get into drugs two of them end up going back home, one of them stays, and the one that stays gets arrested and put into prison because they find the drugs on him, and he gets the death sentence. So they've basically got an ultimatum, these two things. They can go back and kind of take some of the blame and hope that he doesn't get the death penalty, or yeah, he dies. That's it. And I thought the concept's really good. Execution's great. You got Vince Vaughn and Hesh in Return to Paradise as well. Jada Pinkett Smith as well. Yeah, just remember both of these films being very good. If you can still get this cheap, definitely recommend that set. Two great films. Next up, we have Respect, the Aretha Franklin biopic starring Jennifer Hudson. This is the German release. I saw this when it came out, really enjoyed it. Really like my music biopics, and this one was really interesting because I do like the music of Aretha Franklin. And I like her from The Blues Brothers, which is one of my favourite comedies. I think she has a great bit in that, in both of those films actually. But yeah, this was really interesting because I didn't know anything about her life. Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting. It's one that I'll probably go back to soon because it's been a while since I watched it actually. Next up, we have The Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hardy. Fantastic film, quite hard to watch, quite brutal in places. Leo won his Oscar for this. But yeah, really good survival drama. Yeah, great on that one. Next up, another favourite comedy of mine, Revenge of the Nerds. Loved comedies of the 80s. This one was great, early 80s I think this one was. About a group of nerds who go to college, I think, and they decide they're going to start their own fraternity, and havoc, chaos ensues, shall we say. You got a very early performance from John Goodman in this. This was one of the first scores that Thomas Newman did as well. You've also got, who else is in this? Anthony Edwards in this before Top Gun. Robert Carradine's in this as well. I don't know what his name is. I don't know if he's on the cover at all. Yeah, you might just be able to see him. I think, is his name Adrian Smeds, I think? He's in this. He pops up in a lot of like 80s comedy films. He's really funny in it. Yeah, it's just a really, really funny film that definitely couldn't get made nowadays. And again, I got this one, the US import, fairly cheap on eBay. So yeah, Revenge of the Nerds. Next up, we have The Rewrite, starring Hugh Grant and Marissa Tomei. This was one I watched years ago, probably Netflix, I would say it was probably on. I found it online quite cheap, and I thought, yeah, I get it, rewatch it again. And yeah, it's an enjoyable romantic comedy. Hugh Grant plays a screenwriter that isn't having any luck with his career, so he ends up going to teach at a university or college, a small college. And then he falls in love for one of the oldest students, played by Marissa Tomei. Yeah, you've got great supporting performances as well from J.K. Simmons and Alison Janney. They're great in this. This is definitely a hidden gem, I would say. One that, if you can find it, definitely recommend checking that one out if you like those sorts of films. Very feel-good film that one is. Next up, I think this is next. Nope, this is the next pile. Next up, we have Richard Jewell, Clint Eastwood film. I really enjoyed this one. This is a very underrated Clint Eastwood film, I think, all about Richard Jewell, who was a security guard at the, I'm trying to think, is it Olympic Park? It was like the Atlanta bombing in 1996, and he was one of the security guards, and he stopped anyone from getting hurt because he found the bomb. But then they think that he was the one that planted the bomb, and the FBI, what they did to him was absolutely awful, horrible, and the press made it even worse. I just thought this was an excellent film. Paul Walter Hauser is excellent. Sam Rockwell, Kathy Bates, John Hamm. If you can get this one, again, streaming anywhere, another one that I highly recommend because it's a great one. Next up, we have Rise Along, an enjoyable action buddy cop comedy. Didn't like the second one as much. I haven't got that one, but this one was alright. One that I go back to now and again. Then next up we have Rise On. This was one that I just found in a CEX when I was on holiday in York last Christmas, and I got it as part of a Christmas present. I picked out loads, and I got them bought for me. And I thought Jackie Chan looks interesting. I'd heard good things about this one, and it was one of the first ones I watched after I got it after Christmas. This is one of probably the best Jackie Chan film I have seen in years and years. I can't think of another film. I've not seen all of his like newer like Chinese films, but this one is also in Chinese, I think. But it's a great film. It is just another really good. It's a feel good family film, and he plays a washed up stuntman who is estranged from his daughter, and his best friend is his stunt horse who he lives with, and there's debt collectors who are trying to take his horse off of him, but when he's attacked, it's recorded and the video goes viral, and they want to make films with him again. They want him to be the stuntman with his horse again, and it's just a great film. If you've not seen this, please try and find this. As I said, I got this in CEX and it was really cheap. I want to say it was about £4. But yes, it's just a heartwarming film. Jackie Chan is excellent in it, and it's not one that I've heard anyone talk about on YouTube really. So that is Ride On. Next up we have Rising Sun with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes. I watched this one not that long ago. Wasn't very impressed with it. Just thought it was a very average like thriller from the 90s that didn't really do anything new, didn't do anything special. One that I'll probably have to go back again to just see if I'm going to keep it or not. But yeah, that is Rising Sun. Next up we have Road to Perdition. Fantastic film by Sam Mendes, Tom Hanks, Jude Law, Daniel Craig, Paul Newman, who is excellent. This is his final film and he's excellent in it. Stanley Tucci, Jennifer Jason Leigh. Fantastic cast again. The score beautifully done by Thomas Newman. A great gangster prohibition film. Must watch from the early 2000s. This is one of the best films from 2002, the year that I was born. Yeah, highly recommend this one. Brilliant film. Next up we have Robin Hood from 2018, starring Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx. I saw this at the cinema. Remember thinking it was alright, got this cheap. I thought I'll watch it again. Haven't seen it since, so maybe I'll watch it again, see if it stays in the collection. Not sure. This is the essential Robin Hood film for any collection. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. This is the ultimate one for me. I like the Russell Crowe one. I've got it on 4K, but this one is just the best one for me. I haven't seen any of the older ones, which I think I really need to dive into because I've heard Errol Flynn is a great Robin Hood. But Kevin Costner's great in this. This is just a classic. The soundtrack's excellent. Morgan Freeman, Christian Slater, Alan Rickman. Christ, Alan Rickman is the Sheriff of Nottingham. Excellent in this, up there with Hans Gruber. Just another staple of a collection for me personally. Then next up we have another classic, The Rock with Sean Connery, who's actually in Robin Hood as well. Very small role as the king at the end. But yeah, and one of the best action films of the 90s. Ed Harris, Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, Michael Bay on Alcatraz, trying to explode a nuke, and Sean Connery, who is like in prison for I don't know what he did, has to team up with Nick Cage, who's like a FBI agent, just like a chemical weapons specialist, and they've got to go in and try and take Ed Harris down, who's the general, who's like kind of taken hostage the people on Alcatraz that are the tourists or whatever. Fantastic film, one of the best, as I say, action films of the 90s there. Then next up we have Rocket Man with Taron Egerton playing Elton John. Really good film this one is. I don't think I like it as much as Bohemian Rhapsody. It is still up there for music bell pits with me, though I have only seen it the once, so it's one that I probably should revisit soon. Then one of my personal favourite films, favourite musicals rather, Rock of Ages with Tom Cruise. This one gets a lot of hate. A lot of people don't like this. It is very cheesy, I will say, but I think that is what it's supposed to be like. You got a great supporting cast in this. You got Julianne Hough, Russell Brand, unpopular name nowadays. Paul Giamatti, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Malin Ackerman, Mary J. Blige, Alec Baldwin, and Tom Cruise. So you got two controversial names: Alec Baldwin, Russell Brand, and I think, if memory serves, they have something going on in this. They have a song together at the end, which is probably a bit cringy now, even cringier than it was before. But it's a great film. I enjoy it. It's up there for me with musicals. So yeah, that's Rock of Ages. Then another staple for collections. I think most people have this in their collections. The Rocky films, and this is 1 through 6. So all the Rocky films. I don't like this. There is a different set. I don't like this set. It's like gatefold. It's a bit ugly. I will get the 4Ks at some point when they release that big set and it goes down in price. Yeah, for me, the best one's Rocky 4. Probably one of the best films of the 80s. One of the best sports films out there. Then I go Rocky 3, Rocky Balboa, Rocky 2, Rocky 5. That's just off the bat from memory. All good films. Fifth one stepped down a bit, but it's still enjoyable for the most part. But they're just essential films for any collection. That is the Rocky films. Last pile, last stretch. Role Models, another great early noughties comedy. Paul Rudd, Sean William Scott, Christopher Mintz-Plasse. Really funny film. Films like these just don't get made nowadays, and they probably wouldn't get away with it nowadays. But I love these sorts of films, and this one's very funny as well. Next up, we have Romeo and Juliet. Probably my least favourite Baz Luhrmann film. Probably, maybe it's because I'm not really that into Shakespeare. I'm not in with all the dialogue, the Shakespeare dialogue. I don't get it, really. I know it's got a huge audience, but I just don't think I get it. I like the story behind Romeo and Juliet. I like the way that they made it modern and used songs in it. That I liked. It's just the language that was used. They decided to use the original language, and it didn't fully grasp me like I thought it would. But yeah, that's Romeo and Juliet. Next up, we have an animated film, Ron's Gone Wrong. This was from a few years ago. I remember seeing this one and thinking it was a pretty enjoyable film. You've got a really good voice cast as well. Zach Galifianakis, Ed Helms, Rob Delaney, Olivia Colman. About a young boy and his robot, basically. To do with social media and that sort of thing. But I remember enjoying it. Next up, we have another underrated film, Ruby Sparks. Really good film this one is. Paul Dano, Zoe Kazan, who are actually married in real life. You've also got Annette Bening, Antonio Banderas, Elliot Gould, Steve Coogan, and it's a romantic comedy about a writer who's struggling with writer's block, and he creates a character called Ruby Sparks, who comes to life, and whatever he writes about her comes true, and the things that happen you can expect. You kind of know the sort of things that would happen with this, and it's just very funny. I really enjoyed it, and a very just heartwarming film as well. So yeah, that's Ruby Sparks. 3 more. Next up, we have Rumour Has It, entertaining film I saw a few years ago, with Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Costner, Shirley MacLaine, Mark Ruffalo. Kathy Bates has got a small role in this as well. About a family, and the daughter finds out that apparently it's either her grandmother or her mother was Mrs. Robinson from The Graduate. That's what they based it off of. And Kevin Costner is supposed to be Dustin Hoffman's character, I think. Kind of a weird plot for a film trying to do that, but it was okay. It had the cast, which helped. But yeah, it was alright. It was okay. Next, we have a fantastic racing film, Rush. This is a Ron Howard film about James Hunt and Niki Lauda, the racing car drivers in the, I want to say, 70s. And they had a massive rivalry with each other that didn't... kind of a lot of stuff happens in this film, I remember. It's a really interesting watch. Chris Hemsworth, Daniel Brühl. If you like your racing films, this is definitely a must-have in the collection. And finally, a personal childhood favourite with Robin Williams, RV, I think this is quite out of print now, but I remember watching this a lot when I was growing up. It's not the best Robin Williams film, and it's not great, but it's one that I remember enjoying when I was younger, so one that I thought, yeah, I'd get it in the collection, watch it again, see if it's as funny as I remember it being. So, yeah, that's RV, and that is it. 30 minutes, probably 10 minutes too longer than it needed to be, but I wanted to make sure that I gave each film the right amount of time to speak through. Let me know if you'd rather that I go through quicker in the next video. I mean, the next video is the Q's and the P's, so it's not that many. Probably about the same, actually, because there's only a few Q's and it's mainly P's. But if you'd rather I just went through them a lot quicker and had a shorter video, then let me know. If you want me to carry on talking about each film and having a little bit of a longer video, let me know. Feedback's much appreciated. But that is it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, turn the notification bell on so you know when I have a new video uploaded onto the channel. Comment down below anything and everything. I get back to anyone that takes the time to leave me a comment. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, and that is it. So until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye.